Good morning, everyone. Good morning to First Church. I'm glad everyone is here. Today we're going to give you a little bit of a wake-up call. It's to call you to begin living your life with excitement, with enthusiasm. That's the challenge. Now or never. There's a morning. It is the morning's message, and again, it's titled "Now or Never," and it isn't meant to pressure anyone. Of course, it's meant to remind you that something that on some level I know you already know, that this is the moment, this is your life, this is the day that Spirit gave you. I'm borrowing from the scriptures now, and it's not a dress rehearsal. So let's begin here knowing that we're in the right place at the right time. Let's collectively all decide to show up for it together, because the truth is, there are weeks when many of us just go through the motions. Certainly there's days, and I think there's weeks where we go through the motions, and then there are those rare moments that grab us by the collar and say, hey, this is my life, this is your life. The question is, are you really living it? So let's pause for a moment or for a second. Not just for a feel-good question, but a real one to help us go a little bit deeper. I want to bring in the words of someone you might not expect on a Sunday morning message. This would be Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, a philosopher whose writings have survived and still echo with tremendous power nearly 2,000 years later. Marcus was a man who ruled an empire, but he still made time to ask some of the biggest questions about life, about meaning and mortality. And here's what he wrote, and it might just stop you in your tracks. He said, you could leave your life right now. He said, yes, you could leave it, you could be gone in the next moment. And that could be true of every one of us. We don't know. It could be gone in a blink. So let that thought determine what you do, what you say, and what you think. So let's take a moment with that. Let it remind us how precious this moment is, how precious our life is, how fleeting it is, how beautiful it is. Let's breathe that in, that awareness that I'm alive in this moment. And this is not about fear. I don't bring it up for that reason. I certainly wouldn't say it to frighten anyone. I bring up that idea from Marcus Aurelius as an attempt to get focused to know the preciousness of life and of this particular moment. It's not a message of doom or gloom. It's developing a sacred perspective. It's a call for us to be alive in the moment, alive to the awareness of this presence. It's a call for us to be, a call to attention, a call for us to show up more fully, just a bit, to be alive in this moment and realize deep in the center of me, I have everything. I'm the whole bit. It's all here, right here, and it's available to me now. It's a moment for us to connect with Spirit. This moment is not a dress rehearsal. This moment is a moment of awareness. And this awareness that we have is such a gift. Those of you who come into the teaching learn to pause and to understand that deep at the center of your being is this creative intelligence, this unlimited power that always says yes. When you have that awareness, you're really equipping yourself with tremendous power and knowledge, realizing you are one with the one. So you have this day, you have this breath, you have this heartbeat, and they're not warm-ups, they're the music, they're the dance, they're the moment that Spirit gives you. Spirit breathes through all of us. So let's not hold back. Let's live as if this moment is the one that counts, because this moment is the one that counts. So let me ask you, have you ever found yourself living on autopilot? You know what that is, right? Where you're going through the motions, you get up, you do the same thing, and you're not thinking, right? Not aware. You're kind of like checking the boxes. The alarm clock goes off if you have one. You have to brush your teeth. The teapot or the coffee pot starts, and then you start answering your text messages and making your food. but somehow you're forgetting that your life is sacred. That's autopilot. You're just day by day going through it, and without that awareness that you are one with the one. Come to think of it, can you understand? This isn't just another Sunday at First Church. This is your Sunday. Can you say this to yourself? This is my life. This is my Sunday. Or as Bon Jovi used to sing, this is my life, and it's now or never. And I'm not going to live forever, is I think the lyric. So you probably remember those lyrics. And at first they might sound like a teenager slamming their bedroom door, saying, this is my life, defiant and loud. But as you listen again, as you take those words in, there's something true or truer underneath. Something ancient, even sacred, because the soul is saying with those words, I want to live and I want to express. I don't want to just exist. I want to live, and I want to live fully, deliberately. I want to be awake. So let's anchor that in together this morning, repeating after me. It's my life, and I'm not going to live it, and I'm going to live it awake, connected, awake. So breathe that in, let that sink in. It's my life, and I intend to live it awake, fully in connection. Breathe all that in. Now let me mention, there was a Danish writer and philosopher, I haven't read in many years, but his name was Søren Kierkegaard. And if you haven't heard his name, don't worry about it. But he was important. He was simply a man who spent his life asking a question. What does it mean to be truly yourself? Was essentially the question. So I ask it of you today. What does it mean to be truly yourself? And out of all his writings, there's that one line that pierces the heart. He said, the most common form of despair is not being who you are. I'll repeat it. He said, the most common form of despair is not being who you are. So sit with that for a moment. He wasn't talking about losing things, losing money, losing love, losing health. He was saying the deepest despair for us is when we lose ourselves, when we shrink back, when we live somebody else's life. I've known many people that live their whole lives trying to please other people. It could be their deceased parents, it could be loved ones. So I think that's a beautiful saying from Kierkegaard. The most common form of despair is not being who you are. And what we teach you here at First Church is you're amazing. You're the whole bit, right? You are everything, everything, everything. You're so much more than you could possibly understand. But you do start to understand here. You start to get a glimmer of it at least, and you start to know that you have power and you can use it. So Kierkegaard was saying the deepest despair is when you lose yourself, when you shrink back, when you're not loving yourself, when you live somebody else's life instead of your own beautiful life. That he thought, or he said, was despair. You know what? He was on to something. He was right, because nothing will weigh heavier on the soul than a life that's not been lived. So breathe that in. Let's understand that together. It's not war. It's not masking who you are. It's not trading your truth in for someone else's approval. These things won't work, or they won't work well. It's not about arranging your image for the world to see while forgetting who it is that really lives behind that image. Have you been there before? I'm sure I have before. We've had our masks. I bet some of you have as well. So let me ask you gently, have you been waiting for permission to be this magnificent being? Have you been waiting for permission to be who you really are? Have you been keeping yourself in any way small or tidy, acceptable? Muting your voice, turning down the beautiful you. If you are, you're not the only one, I promise you. I think we've all done it from time to time. Even the most spiritual among us, the most spiritually aware, But maybe, hopefully today, just for a fleeting moment, we can remember this. This life we have that we're living is not a dress rehearsal, not at all. It's sometimes messy, it's often beautiful, it's very unpredictable. Life, unfolding life, is the real thing. And this is not a test run. You're not living a preview of coming attractions. This is your one wild and luminous ride through consciousness in a body. And you know, I'm reminded of a lyric from a song some of you may remember. It was country songs. The lyric was, "I hope you dance." There's a line that always stayed with me where she says or sings, "When you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance." Now that's not just a sentimental lyric, it's a spiritual statement, because we all get that choice, and we get the choice every single day to sit it out or to participate with excitement, to retreat or to reach, to join in, to shut down or to show up, to play it safe or to get out there and dance with life and participate. And let's be honest about it. Sometimes dancing, if we want to use that analogy, takes courage, especially when the music has changed and you don't know the steps anymore, especially when you've been hurt or you're tired or afraid. But the invitation to join in life is always there, and the dance is waiting for you. So let me ask you gently but clearly, have you been sitting it out lately? Have you been sitting this one out? Have you been waiting for better music or a more perfect moment? Because the truth is this, the music is always playing, and it's always playing now. And the moment that you really are looking for is always here, and it's always now also. So I hope you make an intention to dance, even if it's shaky, even if it's slow, even if you just start by tapping your foot a little, because that's where we're going this morning. We're going into the dance of living deliberately, of saying yes to your life just as it is and just as it longs to become. Because there's a divine pattern within you, a sacred urge that keeps pushing and calling you forward. It knows who you really are, and it's always reaching, not to make you something you're not. It's always reaching to help you become more of yourself, more fully expressed, more fully alive, more fully you. So let's keep going with this. If the first part of this talk was a little bit of a jolt or wake-up call, then this is the part where we ask, okay, now that I'm awake, what's next? What's next for me to do? The what now, or the what next, has always been part of our spiritual journey. Every seeker has always asked it. Every soul that longs to live in a connected way, every soul that longs to live awake has wondered, how do I do this more fully? How do I live this life with greater connection? One man who wrestled with that question was Henry David Thoreau, an American writer who stepped away from the noise of the world. Some of you will remember his story. But he stepped out of his life, stepped away from the noise, to strip it all down to its bare essentials. And when he took that time, he wrote some brilliant words that have sifted down or echoed through time, important words to consider. He said, I went into the woods because I wanted to live deliberately. I wanted to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what life had to teach me, and not be faced with the lessons when I came to die and to discover that I had not lived. So he took this time, this inner time, and actually secluded himself in the woods to live with themselves, to consider deliberately, to face the facts of life, and to see if he couldn't learn what he was here to learn. And And again, so he didn't discover at the end of the road that he had not lived. So let's all take that idea in for a moment and let it settle. You can breathe with it. What he's saying is this: the real tragedy isn't passing on. It isn't death. The real tragedy is reaching the end and realizing that you never lived. It's like the real tragedy is, passing and the music is all in you unplayed. Living deliberately means paying attention. It means choosing the things that are important to you now, choosing what matters. It means waking up right now, in the middle of today, in the middle of the service, waking up to the gift of your own precious life. Not someday, not when everything's right, not when you have time, not when everything's perfect, but waking up and not trying to wake up when the world finally slows down, but waking up now. So when the day comes to look back in your life, you won't say, I missed it. I wish I'd done it all differently. You'll be able to say, I lived it. I lived it. And maybe this is the simplest affirmation we can carry with us. I choose to live deliberately. Yes, I choose to live deliberately, intentionally. I choose to live alive. I choose to live awake. I choose to live now. So let me ask you, can I ask you something? Have you ever had a moment when life got really quiet and something inside you whispered, there's more than this. There's got to be more than this. I think that's a question many of us have probably confronted. If you ever got to that point where you asked yourself or made that statement, there's more. I know there's more. There has to be more than this. It might have come while you were in the middle of something, through some tough moments, or you may have been doing something as simple as washing the dishes or taking a walk or staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. trying to figure out your life. Where there's that quiet knowing that there's something more and there's something more real. And there's an ache that comes with that. That was what drove Thoreau to the woods. And that type of thing doesn't come from our ego. It doesn't come from our wish list of the things we want. It comes from that part of us that really wants to live more fully. Because you're here as an infinite, you're one with this infinite power. You're an individualization of it. And you're here to express it. Your real need is to express life truthfully, deliberately. Because if we all want to get honest with ourselves, most of us were never taught how to do that. We were taught, many of us, how to follow rules, how to be good little boys and girls. We were taught how to keep the peace, how to work hard, and to do what's expected. So let me slow down just for a moment and ask, are you living intentionally? Are you living deliberately? Or are you living reactively? Are you following something true and you know that's true? Or are you following what's familiar, what everybody else is doing? There's no shame in admitting that you've been drifting here and there, because everybody drifts. Even the most spiritually evolved people forget who they are. Remembering and forgetting, that's what we do. That's one of Louise Hay's sayings. So we might drift. There's no shame. The key is, when we awaken again to who we are and what we are, do we choose to keep waking ourselves up, staying awake in this moment? That's what living deliberately means. That's what it is to be a practitioner, because we keep practicing. And we will have a shift in consciousness. So let's talk for a moment about delay. Not failure, not sin. Just the habit of putting things off, holding back, waiting until the stars align, until you feel ready. Can you relate to any of that? Procrastinating. Have you ever had a dream, maybe it's a calling, that you kept putting off until you had more time, more energy, more money, more clarity, only to find that nothing really changed? I want to bring in a lyric here from Simon and Garfunkel. Their song was The Boxer, where there's one lyric which said, after changes upon changes, we are more or less the same. So just let that hang for a second. After changes upon changes, we are more or less the same. There's so many outer shifts that we have. There's new diets, there's new relationships, new jobs, new spiritual books, new plans. But when we don't change from within, nothing essential really changes. Again, when we don't change from within, nothing essential in our life really changes. Life begins when you return and connect to the center of your being, to the place within you where spirit lives. You don't have to wait for anything. You don't have to wait for anyone. You don't have to fix a thing. You only have to come back within, come back to yourself. And if you forget, then come back tomorrow. You can come back again and again and again. That's the beauty of our spiritual practice. We are practitioners. The door is always open. Every time you return to love, every time you return to the center of your being, what you're returning to is the power that creates the world and breathes right through you. So before I wrap this session, I want to take just a few minutes to let everything we've been talking about move from your head to your heart. This won't take long, it'll be very brief, but if you will allow it, it might shift something within, it might shift something deep. So wherever you are, let yourself become silent or centered. You don't need to close your eyes, but if that feels right, go ahead. Or soften your gaze a bit. Let the world around you blur just for a moment. Let's take a breath together, just an ordinary breath. Let it go in and out. Let your shoulders drop just a little. And imagine with me, if you could, and know that there's a place within you, not a physical place, but a still point, a sacred center. It's the part of you that was never touched, never wounded, the part of you that never gave up, the part of you that always knew. This place has no name, no blame. It just feels like home, deep at the center of your being. And there's a quiet flame, a small, steady light. It doesn't shout, it doesn't force, but it knows who you are, and it remembers who you came here to be. Let's take a breath and feel yourself drawn gently inward, as if you're stepping into the most honest place of your soul. In this space, there's no mask, there's no story to uphold. Don't have to perform or be anything to anyone in particular. There's you and the sacred presence within you. Now, ask yourself quietly, with love, what part of me is ready to come alive again? What part of me is ready to come alive today? What truth, what beauty have I been delaying? What would it mean to say yes to that part of me? What would it mean to say yes to that part of my life? Don't force answers, just listen, wait, breathe. Let the voice within you rise like a mist. Maybe an answer will come as a word or a thought, a feeling, or maybe it feels like stillness, and that's enough too. Now slowly bring your attention to your heart, not to fix, not to force. Bring your attention to your heart just to notice. Can you feel something opening there? Even just a little, a softening. Whatever comes up, whatever feels right, you might whisper this silently. I am willing to say yes to my own life. I'm willing to let go. I'm willing to say yes to my own life. I'm guided. I'm supplied, supported. I'm guided within. I know I'm not too late. I'm in the perfect place right now. So let's all breathe that in together. Breathe in and release. And when you feel ready, you can bring your awareness gently back to our shared space. Wiggle your fingers, stretch if you need to, and open your eyes if they were closed. Here's the thing, you're still here, but maybe something in you has shifted. Because when you touch the center of your life, you remember that you're not waiting for any moment. You come to realize that you are the moment. And that's where we'll pick up as we move into our close. So here we all are. We've walked through our masks, music. We've listened to a few philosophers, poets, rock singers, and mystics. We've stepped into the center of our own lives. We've danced a little, maybe awkwardly, and we've paused. We've checked in with the self, with the capital S. And now comes the moment where we stop talking about it and we decide to live it. Let me be clear. It's absolutely your life. And yes, you should give a damn, as it said. Not in a panicked, pressured way. But this is your sacred, beautiful life. But in the most sacred sense possible. Because this is your life. It's a one-time, never to be repeated expression of the infinite operating in you and through you. Nobody else gets to live this life but you. Nobody else has the same set of threads to weave. Nobody else can bring forth what's hidden in you except you, and you are magnificent. Yes, it's true, no one's going to rescue us either, but also no one needs rescuing because you've always had the power. You have it now. And today you can say it, my life is in my hands. Yes, my life is in my hands and Spirit lives in me as me, and I choose to rise. Those are powerful affirmations. My life is in my hands and Spirit lives in me as me, and I choose to rise. That's the shift. That's the medicine. Knowing who you are and you have this within you. That's the medicine, that's the portal. As Raymond Charles Barker has told us again and again, you are the whole bit. You're not part of it. You're not hoping for it. You are it. And if you've forgotten, let me remind you one more time, for the third time. You are the whole bit. You are a divine idea in the mind of creative intelligence. You're as brilliant as any star, as potent as any truth. You're more powerful and wonderful than you've ever allowed yourself to understand or believe. You have always been the one that you've been waiting for. You you have always been one with the one. And the world is waiting for you to remember that. So if your soul has been whispering lately or screaming, there's more, believe it, because there is. If something inside you has said, I can't keep living like this, there's something I have to do. That's not a fantasy. That's spirit. That's the call. There's a sacred pressure from this divine pattern inside you that's trying to emerge. Let me leave you with a line from one of my favorites, Mary Oliver, who asked, tell me, what is your plan to do with your one wild, precious life? So I'll ask you now, what is it? What is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Tell me what that is, or say it yourself at least, right? Not in theory, not someday, but think about it now, this week, this day, with this breath, because the moment is already here. And before we close, let me leave you with something a little unexpected, something I saw once in the back of a t-shirt, of all places. It said, life's short, eat dessert first. Call your mother, sing off key, dance badly, love anyway. See, that wasn't theology, but it was truth, simple truth, because this isn't a dress rehearsal. And your one wild and precious life is happening right now. So eat the dessert, call someone you love, sing loud, dance badly, and love anyway, because you're alive and because you can. So let's close all this with an affirmative prayer. I now turn with one within, knowing I'm one with the one. I turn to the presence that's always been here, closer than breath, wiser than thought, more enduring than anything in the world. I remember that I'm not separate, I'm not broken, I'm not waiting for permission. I am one with the one, a divine idea in the mind of spirit, as brilliant as any star, as whole as I need to be. Today, I stopped waiting. I stopped postponing. I released the belief that something outside of me must change before I can live. I know where the power lives, and it lives in me. I rise, I shine, I dance, and I do not wait. This is my life, and I'm here to live it fully, fiercely, and deliberately, with love in my heart, with joy in my step, and with spirit as my source. And so it is, so it is, so it is. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for being here at our Sunday morning gathering. It's time for us to turn the cameras over so you can all share. Just really thrilled you're here. You can share your good news. Please say where you're from so we can welcome you. Share our lessons with your friends. We're on most of the social media channels. So thank you. Looking forward to hearing from all of you. And so it is.